Hello. In this introductory or beginning lesson, it's going to be quite an important topic to making any sense of, well, actually pretty much anything in the world, but certainly of the way this video training series is going to be conducted. And this is entitled Metaphor or Model, because the only way we can illustrate any point, any truth that we want to get across is with a metaphor or a model. And it's important to understand how models and metaphors work. A good illustration of model or metaphor actually would be what Jesus said in the Bible, I speak in metaphor. And it's impossible not to speak in metaphor. Language, any language, the language I'm using now is all metaphor. All we are doing is we are giving descriptions or illustrations of the thing that we are talking about. We are describing in some way phenomena that emanate from the thing itself. It's a word I learned recently. It's not one I've normally used in my vocabulary, but I'm going to present it to you here. The world of phenomena are those things that we can experience with our senses. If you can touch something or taste something or smell something, they are phenomena of the thing itself. The thing itself apparently has the word noumena. Now, you understand that the thing itself is the only accurate description of the thing itself. So if I hold up, what could I hold up? There we go, a pen. I'll get it in the middle and not in front of my face. The only accurate description of this pen is the pen itself. Anything else is a model or a metaphor or some sort of parable about this thing. The name pen is only a label that references the thing. The thing isn't a pen, the thing is the thing. I call it a pen. If I was speaking in a different language, I might call it something else. It might be a stilo or a scribo, or I'm making words up now, but you get the idea. It's not a pen, it's a thing, which in a particular language and a particular circumstance at a particular time, we will give the label pen. But penness is nothing to do with this thing. Pen is just an arbitrary label that we've stuck on it so that we can reference it. So we use parable or metaphor to describe almost anything. If I wanted to describe the use of that pen, I could give you a parable about my using the pen. I could describe how I got a bit of paper, and I could even illustrate taking the pen, and I could tell you how I wrote down some words. That's still nothing to do with the pen itself. It's the use of the pen. Me writing words with the pen are nothing to do with the pen. Let me illustrate that point. If I lifted this pen again and I stabbed it in your eye, is it a pen? Well, you're going to say, yes, it's a pen. You stabbed me with a pen. But is it proper to call something I stabbed you in the eye with a pen, or is it more like an act of violence being, sort of using a pointy instrument? We don't know. But me using a metaphor about writing with a pen still tells you very little about the thing. It just tells me how I used the thing. And the other thing that we talk about are models of things. So for a good example would be a model that we all know would be, say, globe Earth. We pretty much all have a model in our head of this big ball wandering around in space, and we can give some dimensions to it. We say it's approximately a spherical, round in all directions. Don't bother to correct me, because this isn't about Earth and what shape it is. We could say that we know how far it is around the equator, apparently something like 24,000 miles. We could say how thick it was, sort of by doing some maths and working that out. It must be, I don't know, what must the diameter be if it's 24,000 round? Oh, gosh, beyond me and who cares. But we can make a description of the earth. Have you ever seen that thing? Yeah, you walked on it. You're sitting on the earth right now. Are you seeing a 24,000 circumference sphere in space? No, you're seeing grass. Or in my case, I'm seeing a very attractively patterned armchair in this rented accommodation I'm in. We don't experience Earth. We've got this model. It's a mental construct in our head that helps us navigate our way around this thing called Earth. In exactly the same way as we have a model in our head of how to properly use a pen. And it probably doesn't include stabbing people in the eye with it. About the solar system itself, we've probably all got a model of a sun sitting in the middle and little planets going round and round the sun, and the astute of us could probably name which order they're in, and even astuter could probably have a little go at their relative sizes and relative distances and all kinds of things. Anybody ever seen the solar system? Not a single solitary human ever has seen the solar system, unless we believe von Daniken or other people, or maybe Ezekiel from the Bible. Maybe somebody has been out in an alien spaceship and actually seen no, they actually haven't seen the solar system. If you were able to go far enough out in space to be able to see the whole solar system in a reasonable space of time, you would be so far away from it that you wouldn't be able to see the planets. So nobody, even if they went out in Ezekiel's spaceship, has seen the solar system. It is a model, a mental construct. Now, this mental construct bit and the thing not actually existing that you're describing, your description itself is simply a model of what is. The only thing that is the thing that is. Everything else is made up and is necessarily inaccurate and incomplete. The only accurate and complete thing is the thing itself. I'm sorry I keep laboring this point. It is so vitally important to understand what goes in the world, and it explains so much of our confusion. It explains so much conflict and so many people having different opinions and thinking they're right. And it comes down to this vital understanding that if I take a necessarily, it has to be incomplete. It cannot be any other way. Unless I hand you the thing itself, I have not handed you the whole picture. If I describe it in any way, shape or form, whether it's by a model or a verbal description or a parable or any other device, I have necessarily passed on an inaccurate and incomplete model, description or metaphor that only partially does the thing justice. And can you see why that would give rise to me being absolutely cocksure that my description of this thing is accurate, and you having another description of the same thing that you are equally cocksure is accurate, and we differ. So I'm saying, here is the thing and it is black. And you are saying, here is the thing and it is white. And you're going to say, well, that's obviously a mistake. Is it really? In my perception of the thing, my incomplete description of the thing, my erroneous model of the thing, sees me experiencing it as black, and your incomplete and erroneous model or explanation of the thing has you describing your experience as white. The thing is the thing didn't change. But somewhere in our use of metaphor, model, verbal description, whatever you wanted to call it, we gave rise by our experience, our differing experiences of the same thing, to different models, different experiences, different parables. Yeah. And that is so important in understanding human interaction. When I give a description of something, or I attempt to illustrate things in this course, I will necessarily, I say at the beginning, it's impossible for me to be anything other than inaccurate and incomplete. If I was describing pens, this video would be very short, because all I would do would be go, there we are, next week I'm going to show you an egg. Well, you would learn absolutely nothing from it that you didn't know already. So if I attempt to make any sort of description or model or comparison or anything else, you can see comparison. A comparison would be, once again, comparing and contrasting two different things. Two different things cannot be like each other except in a certain narrow way. So I could probably find, if I was very clever and diligent, I could probably find some similarities between that pen and an egg. I'm not going to try to, because I've only just thought of it. But you could see there would only be overlaps. A pen isn't an egg and an egg isn't a pen, unless I'm very clever and come up with a reason why they are. I'm not going to do that right now. But any overlap between them would simply be to illustrate a particular point about where a pen and an egg were the same. We wouldn't be saying that pens are eggs or eggs are pens, okay? I'm going to labour the point for the umpteenth time. Every single thing that you ever hear from another human can only be an incomplete and inaccurate representation of what the thing truly is, okay? The only experience of the thing as it is if you hold it in your hand and experience it yourself and don't think about it and don't say anything about it. Your thoughts are in language. So your thoughts are not the thing. Your thoughts are a description of the thing from your perception. And let's do it again. If I hold up this pen, okay, you cannot see this pen as I can see it, because you're seeing the side facing the camera and I'm seeing the other side. We are not seeing the same thing. They may be very similar, and if you described what you saw and I described what I see, they may be very similar descriptions. We may be deluded into think that we're describing the same thing, but I am describing a side of an object that you are totally unable to see, and you are seeing a side of the object that from my vantage point I am totally unable to see. So we are not describing the same thing in any way, shape or form, and any similarity between our descriptions is quite frankly arbitrary. As a little metaphor, it's a little story that comes to mind that might illustrate this. You may have heard this one already. It's not new, it's not mine, but I think it's relevant to this point. There's this parable about, it doesn't matter whether they're blind men or they're sighted men in a dark room. Okay, so we've got people who are completely visually incapacitated by however you want to run this metaphor. I choose that they're sighted men, but in a completely dark room. Not for any particular reason, that just suits my purpose now. And in that room is an elephant. Now, none of these men have ever experienced an elephant in any way, shape or form. They've never seen one, they've never heard one, nobody's ever talked about an elephant. They are completely unaware of elephants. Okay, this is the elephant in the room. Oh, I'm wicked. So the blind men come from the different parts of the room and they approach the thing and they're asked to describe it. So the first, I switched from dark room to blind men, didn't I? Never mind, it's all the same. So the first blind man reaches the elephant's trunk and he feels it and he describes what he sees. He is told, the voice says, "This is an elephant. Describe what you see." Ooh, a bit scary, isn't it? And he goes, well, it's kind of like a snake. It's like a snake rearing up. It's like round and thick, and it's wriggly. Yeah. An elephant is like a snake. So the next one comes over to describe the elephant, and he grabs hold of an ear, and he goes, "What's that idiot on about? This elephant's nothing like a snake at all. It's kind of the big, I don't know, palm leaf. I don't know, maybe like a big leaf. It seems to be like a big disc thing, and it's quite thin, and it's Well, you can fold it and it's floppy. That's nothing like a snake at all. So he says, an elephant is like a palm leaf. Another one comes up and he feels the elephant's belly. And he just feels this enormous, gently curved thing. It's vast and it's round and it's smooth and it certainly doesn't appear to move. And he goes, what on earth are these idiots on about? I don't know. An elephant is like a giant watermelon. You get the idea. You could probably have 6, 8 men approach this elephant in the dark or blind. I don't care. I'm mixing metaphor. It's my right. It's my video. I'll mix my metaphor if I want. Nah. Anyway, these people who've never seen an elephant, and can't see the elephant now will all give 100% accurate descriptions of the elephant as they experience it, and they are all totally different. So if you were in like a verbal tradition where stories were handed down from the elders, you would have one tribe where the elder described their personal experience, not hearsay, their personal experience of elephantness. And elephants were like snakes, and they could make up a story about the elephant being like a snake, and they are 100% right in their own experience. But another tribe with completely the same will be telling stories about how elephants are like palm leaves, and yet another one will be telling a story about how elephants are like giant watermelons, and they are all 100% true with verifiable witnesses, okay, stating 100% fact from their own experience and their own perspective. Every single one of them is right. Every one of them is completely wrong. Every one of them were describing the same phenomenon. And the phenomenon, the poor elephant, what was its part in this? Nothing. Where was the elephant in this story? It was standing in the middle of minding its own bloody business with a whole load of blind men fondling its bits. That's what the elephant couldn't give a shit about any of this nonsense. The elephant was the elephant, and that's all there was of it. The rest of this is made up mental constructs, things that human beings felt were important and couldn't resist going about, or having their heads go woo 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 about, because we're really good at that. We are the apex predator. We are the top of the food chain of this world. We are God's star production. We have been given intelligence. We have been given imagination. And what do we use this amazing gift for? Fucking our own lives up by stupid descriptions of things that don't need describing. The elephant didn't need describing. The elephant was quite happy without being described, but we couldn't resist it. We had to give it words. We had to let them wander around our head, and then we had to form religions over them. And we had to be so certain that we were right. We had to punch other people who disagreed with us. We had to go to war with other people who disagreed with us. And the elephant's sitting there going, yeah, whatever. I've been over dramatic. Oh, no, I haven't been over dramatic, because that really is what happens, is that things are things, and you can come up with 180-degree diametrically opposed descriptions that are both 100% accurate of the thing in as far as they go. They are 100% accurate representations of an partial experience of the thing. Do you see what I'm trying to say? They're not false. The man describing the elephant's trunk like a snake is being completely accurate about that incomplete part of the elephant. He's not lying, he's not making it up, he's not deluded, but all he experienced of the whole elephant was the trunk. So in his mind, he is completely certain he knows what an elephant is like. He can look back in his memory and experience elephantness. And the man who felt the elephant's belly is the same. He completely knows, because he can look inside himself at his experience of elephants, and he knows with 100% certainty that his description of elephants as being like a giant watermelon is completely true, and that anybody who says that it is not like a giant watermelon is very suspect. How on earth could anybody describe a giant watermelon as like a snake? Are they deluded? What are they? Are they fools? Are they charlatans? Or are they insane? They are very likely explanations for why anybody could be so stupid as to confuse a giant watermelon with a snake. And you can see where that arose from. Can you see where the war rose from? Can you see where the different traditions, the different religions, the different views of the world came from? And everybody thinks that they are describing different things, but guess what? All is one, baby. Every single one of our totally and radically different impressions of existence are all describing the same element. Element? I keep saying element. I mean elephant. That's probably a Freudian slip. If I analyze that, maybe why God has given me the word element rather than elephant would make sense. But that's as far as I want to go with this little missive so far. Just, it bears repeating. You can hear nothing from another human being that is not necessarily incomplete and inaccurate description of the thing that is, of existence. Okay? Let that sink in. Either stop this video, pause this lesson, meditate on this thought, get it firmly fixed into your mind that the thing is the thing, and any description, whether it's a model, metaphor, parable, is incomplete and inaccurate, and that's where our differences lie, baby. All are one. It's only our models, metaphors, and descriptions of the same thing that is that vary. Here endeth the lesson.